Good evening and welcome to Current Issues. I'm your host, Hesham Tillawi. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a 2 weeks actually. It's been 2 weeks since we last did a live show here. I went to the Jerusalem conference that we have talked about for so long here on the program. We will tell you how it went and what we did over there. Before we get started, let me say Ramadan Mubarak to all the Muslims out there because the fasting season just started. Today is the fourth day, as a matter of fact, where Muslims fast. They refrain from food, water, smoke, and basically many other physical activities as far as the eating, drinking, smoking, etc. You do not do that from about 4 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock in the evening. So I am very much towards the end of my battery here because I have been fasting all day. A little thirsty, not really hungry, but a little weak. And I guess the things we take for granted that we really miss eating and drinking. You know, the thing is, when we don't drink for a whole day, that's a choice that we make. There is plenty of water and there is plenty of food, but it is a religious obligation that we go through every year for a whole month. And I'm just thinking, many people in Somalia, as we speak, they can't find food or water. They are fasting. They are forced to fast. Many children are dying. Unfortunately, the response to this famine in Somalia is not as it should be, as if the world is saying we can do without few thousand Muslims there in Somalia. You know, when a catastrophe hits a country, especially if it's a European country, we'll see the whole world responding with many people and many help from many countries. But as of yet, we don't see the help going to Somalia, where thousands of Muslim children can't find food to eat. Anyway, and before we start talking about the trip in and the Jerusalem conference that we very much did, and it was a success. It was a great success. Let me kind of give you a little bit about the media and what is going on and how the media actually affects your mind. Number one, let me say that most people believe what they see on TV. And when I say most, I would say 95% of people, or probably even more, they believe what they see on television. And unfortunately, television stations and the media, the mass media we have here in the United States, unfortunately, it goes along with the policies of the regime here in the United States. So as if it is a state-run television, you know, we keep talking about dictators in Arab countries and other countries, but we forget about the dictator regime that we have here, even though the figureheads change, but those who write policies, they don't change. And if they die, the policy continues after them because it is a policy that was drawn up long ago, and people change, but policy stays. Not like what's going on in the Middle East, where the policy is the policy of the dictator, and when he goes, it's a totally different policy. You know, Hosni Mubarak of Egypt went to court. Actually, he did not go. They dragged him into court, and we do have a picture of Hosni Mubarak in court. inside a steel cage. Now, this is a man who ruled Egypt for 30 years. And yesterday was sitting on a hospital bed that was rolled in to court to face his charges and with his two sons, Ala and Gamal. I guess this is probably the irony of this whole thing is no matter how we human feel and sometimes think that we got it will come a day where we don't have it. And that's exactly what happened to Hosni Mubarak. He was on top of the world for 30 years. And yesterday he was dragged into court to face charges against his people, charges that he had given orders to kill the protesters and charges that he had with his sons apparently, and all this is charges. And, as we here in the United States, we believe that the man is innocent until proven guilty. And we will remain under those values. And Hosni Mubarak is innocent until proven guilty. Now, I'm not really a fan of Hosni Mubarak or fond of his policies, but I can tell you one thing. What you saw on some of you, those who saw the trial, especially on Arabic televisions and international televisions, it was carried live. Believe it or not, it was not the desire of the Egyptian government to carry it live, and it was not the desire of the Egyptian government to even bring him into court the way he did, but it was ordered by the United States. That's how they wanted the trial to be. Just like trials here in the United States. They want to make an example, even though this man was their man, but yet they are using him. Even after he was deposed and after he stepped down and toppled, they're still not finishing using him. I guess they're trying to send a message to Bashar Assad of Syria and Muammar Gaddafi to give up now. Otherwise, you will be facing what Mubarak faced. This is a picture of both President Hosni Mubarak of Egypt and Bashar al-Assad of Syria. I wonder if they can have this moment again. What will they be saying? They will probably be saying the United States will not spare any of us. It doesn't matter if you are on the side of the United States policies, as Hosni Mubarak was, or if you are not on the side of the United States policies, like Bashar al-Assad is. They will face the same fate. That's what the United States wants. Of course, it's not really the desire of the United States. It is the desire of the government of Israel, the one that actually rules over our policies here in the United States, the one that we very much in the government in the United States, and I should not say we, I should say the government of the United States that is very much paid, bought and paid for by AIPAC money. They want that in the Arab world. They want these governments, they want to send the whole region into division, despair, upheaval. That's what they want. So they can rule, so they can thrive, and so they can squeeze more out of the Palestinians. It's not the United States people that are doing it, but the United States people are allowing this to be done in their name. Unfortunately, the United States people don't see the truth. They see what they see on television, and they are satisfied with it, even though the ones who rule our televisions are the same ones who rule our politicians. Go figure. And now you know why we do the things we do. Now you know Why we do the things we're not supposed to do? Because it's not good for us as the United States. But that's what happens. What happens when you have people in the media, they come to millions of you every day, either on the radio or on television or in print. They got you by the millions. When they come on television and they try to portray the bastard state of Israel and make it look like this angel out there, angel of death, but they make it look like as it's a great country. It is not a great country. It is a racist country. I just came back and I saw many things over there. Many things that make you puke. You know, a little story before we show you a couple of clips of Glenn Beck in Israel. And by the way, Glenn Beck is planning a big thing on the 24th or 25th of August in Israel. So he's going to kiss ass big time to the Israelis in that program. So I hope everybody out there will be out there protesting wherever Glenn Beck is. A story, ladies and gentlemen, that I learned while I was there. Now, in Palestine, the historic land of Palestine, of course, most of you know that it was divided back in 1947, where now we have a whole region, a big chunk of Palestine called Israel. Well, in Israel, the Jews, they killed and massacred many Palestinians back in 1948, and they forced the majority of them, the bulk majority of them, to flee. Well, many remained. Of course, they did not cleanse, they did not purify that piece, that big chunk they took back in 1948. So many Arabs, and now those Arabs who remained there, they total about 1.5 million people who have Israeli citizenships. They're Arabs, they're Palestinians, they're Christians and Muslims, but they also have the Israeli citizenship. Well, and a Jewish girl falls in love with an Arab boy, and she uses her father's credit card to buy him an iPhone, something like 4,500 shekels, which is about $1,400. Well, when her father found out that she purchased an iPhone, he went berserk. He was extremely mad, very, very upset. You can imagine if you find a charge of $1,500 on your credit card. Then he went really mad and crazy mad when he found out that she purchased that iPhone for her Arab boyfriend. You can't imagine. Well, he did not just, I guess he did not stop at being mad, but he went to the department store where his daughter and this Arab boy or young man work. He asked the administration to fire him. They said, well, he didn't do anything and he's a good employee. We can't fire him. They told him that this seems to be a problem between you and your daughter, so, take the phone back, but we can't fire the young man. Well, he threatened that if they don't fire the young man, he will file an official petition with the Council of Rabbis there in Israel that their store is not pure Jewish store, and there are minglings going on between Jewish girls and Arab young men. It's not pure. It's not kosher. And if he filed that with the Council of Rabbis, and the Council of Rabbis take that kosher place off of that department store, I guess no one will be coming to it, or it would have to shut down. There is a huge economic penalty. So the store, at first they refused. Then he went back to them and said, if you do not fire him and actually institute a policy in your department store that Arab young men should not be caught talking to Jewish girls. And that department store actually did that. They fired the man and they instituted that policy that no Arab men should be talking to Jewish girls. Imagine if we institute that here. No black men should be caught talking to white girls. Imagine the uproar, or Hispanics. Now, that is a country, ladies and gentlemen, that our politicians tell us that we share values with. That is a country, ladies and gentlemen, that our politicians say it's democratic. They say it's the only democratic state in the Middle East. Does that sound like democratic to you? When the Council of Rabbis actually is the one that rules, when you have a religion that rules the state, when Benjamin Netanyahu asks that the Palestinians, the victims, to recognize Israel as a Jewish state so they can actually cleanse the 1.5 million Palestinians out of Palestine, historic Palestine, that is called Israel now. Now that is democracy for you. Or is it our democracy when we have liars get on television, on mainstream media such as the Fox network, and a good name for a news agency, Fox, because it's actually foxing you. And yes, foxing. Take it whichever way you want. The fox, the little animal, okay, don't let your mind go, but if it did, that's also okay. Now, we're going to show you Glimbeck, a reception that he had in Israel. He was there, and we carried actually some of the stuff that he did about 3 or 4 weeks ago. But we're going to play a couple of videos for Glimbeck in Israel, and we will come back to discuss that and show you plenty of pictures from the trip that I took 2 weeks ago. It's exciting. I am excited about it. I'm excited about what happened. We'll tell you about what happened, but let's first see those 2 videos.
Palestinian conflict at the ruling class is about the destruction of Israel and about the end of the Western way of life. Period. That's what it is. Now, on the streets, I happen to be, I don't know a lot of Palestinians, but I also don't know a lot of Jewish people either. I don't really classify people that way. They're just people.
Visiting Israel for the second time this year, American conservative pundit Glenn Beck spoke at the Knesset on Monday morning. Glenn was a guest of Likud MK Danny Danone, and the right-wing talk show host voiced his strong support and concern for Israel.
Where you go, I will go. Where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people are my people. Your God is my God. Where you die, I will die. There shall I be buried. That is the message I bring you from the people I know. I am not a representative of the people. The people I know and my family. You are not alone. Come stand with people that want you to know that. Thank you.
I saw the program about the massacre in Tamar, and it was a very moving piece, and I asked myself, how come you are the only one that on national television picked such hard issue and you put it in the front of the American people? Why it was only you that took that courage to put it there? Where are all the other people, all the reporters, all the networks, where are they?
I don't have an answer for you. I don't know.
Beck announced that he'll be back here at the end of August to hold a rally with international participation in support of Israel.
On the 24th of August, I am doing an event called Restoring Courage. And it is not for courage here in Israel. You've got plenty. I told my wife last night, I'm not really looking forward to going home.
Benjamin Spear reporting for the Jerusalem Post.
Okay. You know, you just witnessed the lowest, the lowest, um, I can't even find words to describe it, but that is the lowest part. There's no more dignity left in this man. That is pure lies, and it is, you know, this man will not be on TV if it wasn't for the Jewish control of Fox Network. This man will not be on TV if he would stand up for the truth and tell you the truth. But he has to go and kiss ass like that so he can stay on the air, because they are the ones who make him, and he enjoys. Glenn Beck enjoys where he is because he's doing everything exactly the way they wanted him to do it. That is a sorry excuse for a human being. I wish to debate that bastard. I wish to debate him. He thinks he talks good? Let him debate me, and I'll show him the truth. He tells you that the conflict between the Palestinians and the Israelis means the destruction of Israel. Israel has the fourth strongest army in the world. They have nuclear bombs. They have the whole United States army and military. They have the whole United States budget after them, behind them. For the poor Palestinians who have been under siege, if it's in Gaza or it's in the West Bank, or living in refugee camps for the last 63 years. That's what the conflict is all about. Let that bastard come out and tell you what the conflict is all about. Let him study what happened back in 1948. Let him tell you the truth instead of, oh, where you go, I will go. Your God is my God. Really? What is your God? You mind telling me? Who is your God that's going to allow you to lie and sell your conscience? You know it. You know it when you spoke those words, Glenn Beck. You bastard, you know it. You know you were lying. You know you did not believe in any of that. You know that. But yet, he's going to sit there and tell you, and he's going back on the 24th of August to do Restoring Courage. Well, maybe you need to go to the West Bank and see the courage of those people, the Palestinians who have been living within a wall. And I went there and I saw in my own eyes. I visited the town of Qalqilia. I visited the town of Qalqilia that is completely surrounded by a wall with only one gate. People leave that town with permissions from the Israeli government. That's who Israel is actually worried about? Okay. Now, let me tell you something about the trip. It was beautiful, actually. We have so many pictures to show you. But we will start with when we went to Ramallah. That is the, now we started, let me tell you something. We started it in, let's start with the reception. We started it with a reception on the 19th in Jerusalem. Now we said we will not hold the conference anywhere else except in Jerusalem, and we did hold the conference in Jerusalem with a reception on the 19th, and the first day of the conference was the 20th. We held it in Jerusalem. Everybody said that you cannot hold it in Jerusalem. They will not let you. Well, we did it. Of course, they turned away many of us who are coming from the United States and Europe. The Israeli government did, but many of us, I guess, managed to go through, and we held it in Jerusalem. Let's show some of the pictures from the reception there in Jerusalem, and hopefully you'll be able to look through all these pictures in front of you. Of course, he's trying to Okay, yep. This is the reception in Jerusalem. That is, of course, many people. I see there Ahmed Tibi right there in the middle. He is an Arab member of Knesset. And sitting to his right is Hatem Abdul Qadir, who is the one of the Fatah Revolutionary Council members, who is actually responsible for the Jerusalem file within the Fatah organization. And that's, of course, me. Now, these are some of the beautiful ladies who actually helped us. The one in the black is Rania. She is from the from Shab. That is in the 1948. You see, the beauty about the conference and what we did is it brought Palestinians from all over the world into this Jerusalem conference. The first one on the right, that is, her name is Arwa. She is in the media in Washington, D.C. And of course, Rania in the middle. She is our coordinator there in the 1948. And next to her is a beautiful, beautiful person named Mama Salam, who is, she has a program. She does a lot of programs on radio and television for the children there in Palestine. They live in Nazareth, and next to her is her husband, Salim, who is a wonderful man. Those couple, they're just wonderful people. They invited the whole group to their beautiful home in Nazareth, and they did a great dinner, and we really, really enjoyed their company. And so I thank them for all they have done. And if you continue showing some of these pictures, we will tell you where they are and what we were doing there. And this is here a wreath that I personally placed on Yasser Arafat's grave tomb in Ramallah. It was a great honor, actually. Did not know this was on the agenda, but when I got there, they told me this is what we were doing, so they had a wreath ready, and probably about 100 people went with me there, and I laid the wreath on Yasser Arafat's tomb. And if we try to speed up the pictures, okay. This is actually in the town of Tul Karim. This was at the governor's mansion there. Okay, hold on. Actually, the governor's office. The governor is the one standing to my left there, an excellent man and a good friend. He is the governor of Tul Karim, Talal Dwekat. He's a brigadier general, actually. And he was, they really received that official reception there, me and the group that I had with me. And it was excellent. Stay with this picture here because it's very important. Go back. Now, after we did our official speeches where you saw us, please go back to the picture, the other one. Yes, this one. Now, after we did the speeches and we did the official visit at the governor's office, and we came over to this. What you see here in front of you is the wall that Israel built around this city. Now, this is a Palestinian city. And what the governor is actually explaining to me, this is a chemical plant that Israel built. Now keep in mind, this chemical plant was forced to shut down in Israel because there was a lot of complaints from people and from environmentalists that this chemical factory and many like it were not good for the environment, and they were causing cancer within the population. So they shut them down. The court shut them down in Israel. Now, Israel is like way on the other side of that wall. This wall happened to be like inside the city of Qalqilia. So what the Israeli government, what the Israeli companies did, Now, the land that remained on the other side of the wall, which is Palestinian land, it belongs to these people in this city. But Israel allowed these factories to come and set up shop right there at the wall, exactly at the wall, to make their chemicals. And this is not, you talk about racist country, listen to this. In most of the year, the wind will be coming from west to east. Some days during the year, the wind will change and be going from west to east, but the majority of the days during the year, it'll be coming from west to east. This factory only operates, and the government of Israel gave them a license to only operate when the wind going eastwards, from west to east, because that's where the Palestinians live. Now, you want to see it? Come with us next year. You don't believe what we're saying? Come with us next year and you will see with your own eyes what this Israel is doing. Move on. We're just leaving, actually. The one on my left there, the lady, she's Ghada Shadid from Chicago. She's one of the people who came with us, and she's one of the leaders there. And I'm talking to some officials there who were actually telling me about what's going on there in the city. Now me and the governor and actually Mu'in Shadid, who is a reporter for Palestine TV and a friend of mine, they're telling me about where Israel had set up a gate where the people in the city, the only way they can leave to go to their jobs is actually going through that gate. So people will line up there at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning just to reach their jobs at 9 o'clock in the morning. And then when they leave, they get home about 10, 11 o'clock at night. So these people, they sleep for like 3 or 4 hours before they had to get up and go line up, because Israel will only allow one at a time to go through that, and you have to have a permit for you to leave the city. Now imagine, ladies and gentlemen, if you have to go through this. Well, this is some of us there with a picture with the governor of Tul Karim there. I want to point out that the gentleman on the right, way at the bottom, on the bottom right, that is our coordinator there in the West Bank, Rawhi. He is a great man, great man. All these people that you are looking at, they're all volunteers, and they all answered the call to come on this trip. Actually, the lady on the further right in the white shirt, and that is actually Abir, who is our coordinator in Jerusalem. And the guy with the hat is Khalid. He's like to her right. He's our coordinator in Sweden. So this trip, you can move on. This trip has actually, this is inside the governor's office where we spoke, and this is the reception line. And let's just move on to other pictures in different cities so we can move on. Well, this is in Amman, Jordan, actually, on the 18th, where we had a great function there in Amman to kick off the Jerusalem trip. And all these people. The one next to me is Muhammad Abu Amr. He's our coordinator in Jordan. And of course, the one to my right is Luma Salah. She is the executive secretary of the Jerusalem Conference and the organization that we founded. And this is part of the activity of what happened there in Amman. These are the troop from the Wahdat refugee camp near Amman there, and they performed excellent performance. And this is here actually when we went to Arafat's tomb and in Ramallah, and this is the ceremony when I laid the wreath at the tomb. This is, okay, this is actually the first day of the conference in Jerusalem. And we did it in Jerusalem, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, this was the founding conference of the Jerusalem Conference, which will be an annual event where we will go and actually visit Jerusalem and visit, even though the name says Jerusalem Conference, but actually in Jerusalem we go, and these are some of the people in the conference there, but it's actually a conference for the whole country of Palestine where we will visit, and we visited the 1948 areas like Haifa and Akka and many of the destroyed villages back in 1948 to see where a lot of the Palestinian refugees came from into all these refugee camps around the region there. And these are, just good and great people. But actually, one of the, I guess the highlight of the whole thing is when they told us that the Prime Minister wants to meet us. And they had arranged for the Prime Minister this happened on a Friday morning when the people actually were out for the holiday. Friday is like Sunday here. Now, this is the Prime Minister, Salam Fayyad. We had a press conference and a meeting, me and him. Of course, me in my capacity as the Secretary General of the Palestine, of the Jerusalem Conference. And we have, I was surprised that we attracted that much attention, to have the Prime Minister meet with you. That's, of course, it's a great honor, but it's also a great responsibility that on our shoulder, all of us in the Jerusalem Conference, that we have to perform and that we have to actually give the expectation of what these people are actually expecting of us. So it's a huge responsibility, but it was also a huge honor to have the Prime Minister, Salam Fayyad, the Palestinian Prime Minister, receives us there in Ramallah. And, of course, we went on to many other areas, and we visited many other areas. I don't know if you can show some other pictures, the ones that you haven't shown before. But anyway, if it's just so many pictures to choose from. Well, this here is in another region there, and the one to my right is the governor of Qalqilia. They received us very much, and the one to his right, by the way, he's been shown in many of the pictures that we've shown you. He's a great man. He works with the Department of Expatriates within the Palestine Liberation Organization there in Ramallah, and he has worked very hard in actually putting together a lot of the activities that we had went through. So we appreciate their help. Of course, he had helped with our coordinator there, Rawhi. They had coordinated many of the events, so I appreciate their help. And this is, the one this is, we printed a lot of things. Actually, I'm holding in my hand a cup that says Shiddu Rihal, which is let's get up and go. That's exactly what it says, or saddle up, if you want the exact literal translation. Shiddu Rihal, it means saddle up. So it means saddle up and let's go. Let's go visit Jerusalem. Let's go visit Palestine. And beautiful ladies here. The first one to the left is Nisreen. Actually, Nisreen has a very sad story. Nisreen could not make it with us. She is from Shreveport, Louisiana, by the way. She's from, just up the road from us here. And she answered the call to come to Jerusalem. She was born in Lebanon to Palestinian refugees from the town of Safad. Safad is in the northern Palestine, around Nazareth, etc., that was taken over by the Israelis back in 1948, and her grandparents or great-grandparents were actually forced to flee and went to live as refugees in Lebanon. And she ended up in Shreveport, Louisiana, and she answered the call. Now, to tell you the truth, she has a story to tell, and I'm going to tell her story. She was looking forward to see Palestine, and her family refused in the beginning because they did not know. I mean, they themselves never saw Palestine. Her parents, her mom and dad, never saw Palestine themselves because they were born to refugees' families in Lebanon. So she was going to be like the first one in 63 years from her family to actually go back to Palestine, and she was looking forward to it. Her parents said no, and they said no because they were so scared and they were concerned about her going there, thinking that something might happen to her because, if she's going there with the conference. What about if the Israelis, if they confronted us there? So they were worried about her, and they said no. But she said yes, and she said, "You are not going to stop me." Yes, she told her family. Now, I advised her otherwise. I said, "Listen to your parents, please." But she said, "Dr. Hesham, I have got to go." And things were actually much better when me and her dad actually talked on the phone. And I comforted him, and I told him I will take good care of Nisreen. She went with us to Amman, and she actually attended and she spoke at the gathering that we did, the activity that we did in Amman. She had the audience in tears. That's how Nisreen is. She really had them. She had everyone crying, and a huge auditorium in Amman. She had everyone crying of how much she was looking forward to go and see Palestine. Another obstacle she faced actually was her job. She works for a TV station in Shreveport, and her employer said, "No, we have this huge thing coming up at the same time, and you cannot go." She tried and tried and tried, and they said no. So she said, "You know what? Even though I was looking for a long time for a job in the media," because that's what she went to school for, and she loved her job, but if it means that she has to quit her job, she's going to do it. And she actually walked out. And she said, when I get back, if I have a job, fine. If I don't, it's worth it to go and see Palestine. The agony and the sad thing is, the Israelis would not allow her to get in. She went with us. We all went at the same time. And we went through the Jordanian border patrol or control to the Israelis, which is a Palestinian side but is controlled by the Israelis. They would not allow her in. Why? Because they did not want her in. They knew what was happening. They knew where Nisreen was going, and they did not want her in there. It's not that she is a threat or will ever be a threat. Nisreen was not even an activist before she got involved with the Jerusalem conference, before she answered the call and was at the meetings every week. And when she tried to go, that's what happened. That's what happened to Nisreen. It was a catastrophe for us, because Nisreen, knowing the story of Nisreen, and she could not go, that was unbelievable. And Nisreen could not go. Another person actually that they rejected, it was another woman. She had 4 children with her. She had 2 of her own and 2 of her sisters, 14, 15, 9, 10. They could not go. They rejected many people. but some of us made it, and some of us did go and founded the Jerusalem Conference. That's going to be a conference not for Palestinians only, but for every peace-loving person on this earth, regardless of your religion, regardless of your nationality, to go and visit Jerusalem and tell those bastards, Israelis in Jerusalem, that Jerusalem is a city of peace and will remain a city of peace. You try to make it a Jewish city, but that is the city where Jesus went. Jesus went to tell the Pharisees to get the hell out. Jesus went to Jerusalem to tell the Pharisees to get the hell out. Now they're back. Now they're back. You listening? Now they're back. Now it is your turn to do what Jesus tried to do. To go there and tell those bastards, this is not your city. This is a city of love. This is a city for all loving, peaceful people. And that's how Palestinians want it to be. Palestinians don't want it to be only a Muslim city, only a Christian city. They want it to be a city for all people. Because you know what? The same law and the same entity, the United Nations, that actually made Israel, that actually voted for Israel to become a state. That's not the only thing they voted for. They voted for three things. Part of Palestine to be a Jewish homeland. Okay? Part of Palestine to be for the Arabs, Muslims, and Christians, and Jerusalem to be an international city. Now keep in mind, a Jewish homeland does not mean to be only Jewish, because the same law that was voted on for Israel not to interfere with the people living there. You want a home for the Jews? That's fine. These people are willing to accept you, and the Palestinians accepted the Jews. The Palestinians looked at the Jews as part of the Abrahamic faith, that they were persecuted in Europe, persecuted everywhere else, but they found open arms from the Palestinians who were living in Palestine at that time in the early 1900s. When the Zionist organization started sending Jews to settle there, the Palestinians took them in. They took them in and shared the land with them, not knowing that these bastards had something else in mind. They want to come in there by the numbers, by the masses, and get the Palestinians out of their land. That's how the Jews of Europe said thank you to the Palestinians who received them and sheltered them when they were running in Europe, being prosecuted in Europe. The Palestinians took them in. And many of those Jews will tell you that. Many of them wrote books about this that the Zionist media here in the country will not allow you to see. That's what it is. You know, I really look tired, but I guess we only have probably 30 more minutes before we break this fast, and I don't know how I can even talk this long being so thirsty. Anyway, well, ladies and gentlemen, right now the Palestinians are going to the United Nations in September. They're going to the United Nations to ask the Security Council of the United Nations to recognize Palestine as a state. Now, Israel is throwing a fit. Israel is saying, hey, come on, let's talk about peace. Hey, come on, let's talk about peace. We want to talk about peace. They have been talking about peace for the last 15, 20 years. Since 1993, they have been talking about peace, and before. Before they started talking about peace, there were like 7,000 Israeli settlers in the West Bank. After they started talking about peace, there are about 650 to 700,000 Israeli settlers within 20-25 years. Since the signing of the peace agreement, supposedly peace agreement, 500,000 Israeli settlers, illegal. What peace they want to talk about? What peace they want to talk about? Let the Palestinians live. The Palestinians don't want to destroy anyone. Don't let Glenn Beck convince you of that BS. Because the Palestinians, they want to live. They're being killed. They're being massacred by the Israelis since 1948 and before, actually. It's time. It's time to give them that little bit of land that is left for them, because the Israelis gobbled up most of it. Let them have a state. And let's finish with all this. No one wants to destroy anyone. Let Israel live in peace. No one is saying it's not. Look, even all the Arab countries combined cannot defeat Israel militarily. Put that to rest. Put that to rest. They cannot. So, if you want to live in peace and you want the world to live in peace and forget about all this nonsense, give and recognize Palestine for the Palestinians. The West Bank and Gaza. The 1967 borders, that's the borders that was there before Israel went in and took over the whole country of Palestine. That's all. The West Bank and Gaza. Recognize it. That's what the Palestinians are going. And the only country, right now they have 122 countries in the world recognizing them. And they're saying, we will recognize you once you go and ask for recognition from the United Nations. And the Palestinian leadership, they're going. There are only two countries saying, no, don't do it. We are going to oppose it. Israel and the United States. The United States, not because it's good for us, because the Israelis are saying, you better not allow this, because the United States has veto power in the Security Council. Don't let that happen, ladies and gentlemen. Don't let the United States be the one that looks really horrible in this. Because to Israel, it does not matter how bad the United States will look if the United States would say veto. But you know what? The thing is, if they say veto, that's not the end of the game for the Palestinians. They will go to the General Assembly. In the General Assembly, there is no veto power. In the General Assembly, it's the whole world, everyone, one vote, every country, one vote. Palestine will win. Don't let Palestine win in the General Assembly and make the United States look horrible. Tell your congressman, tell Barack Obama, tell them yes to recognizing a Palestinian state, because it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. Recognize Palestine. Recognize Palestine under the 1967 borders. Israel live. No one wants to destroy Israel. No one wants to throw the Jews into the sea. No one can anyway. But let the Palestinians live. So, United States, don't use veto power in September. Don't use veto power in September in the Security Council, because you will win that battle, but you will lose the war. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because we have good people here in the United States, good-hearted people here in the United States that wants Palestine to be Palestine and Israel be Israel, and for those people to live happily ever after. And it can happen. It can happen with one yes vote in September in the Security Council, and the Palestinians don't even have to go to the General Assembly. That's how it happens. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's show, even though I'm a little bit tired, but I think it was probably a little bit, come here. Come on, come on, come on. We got only 20 seconds. Right. There is Mr. Amir. Hasn't been here in a while because I haven't been here in a while. So tell them good night.
And see you next Thursday.
See you next Thursday. He's growing up now. You remember him when he was a little boy. Good night.